Hello, mortals. Today we're talking about politely threatening the universe until it coughs up what you ordered.
I'm Amrapali, and this is the Ink Truth Podcast. Welcome on board.
Picture this. You're thinking about an old friend you haven't spoken to in years. Their face pops into your mind out of nowhere. You wonder how they're doing, what they're up to now. And then, not 5 minutes later, your phone buzzes. It's them. They've just texted you. Or maybe you finally decided to buy that specific car you've been eyeing. You make the mental commitment. You can almost feel yourself behind the wheel. And suddenly, everywhere you look, you see that exact car. Every parking lot, every street corner, every highway. It's like the universe is showing you something. Most people chalk these moments up to coincidence, random chance, the universe being quirky. But what if I told you these aren't accidents at all? What if these moments of perfect timing are actually clues, breadcrumbs left by reality itself, showing you that you have far more power than you've ever imagined? Welcome to today's episode. We're about to dive deep into something I call Synchronicity Sculpting, a revolutionary approach to consciously manifesting your desires and becoming the deliberate architect of your own reality. This isn't woo-woo mysticism. This is a practical, actionable system backed by neuroscience, psychology, and real-world results. By the end of this hour, you'll understand the hidden language of the universe, and more importantly, you'll know exactly how to use it to your advantage. Let's begin. The illusion of randomness. So let's start with a fundamental question. What exactly is synchronicity? The term was coined by the famous psychologist Carl Jung, and he defined it as meaningful coincidences, events that seem to be connected by meaning rather than cause and effect. You think of someone, they call. You need an answer to a problem, and you randomly open a book to the exact page that contains the solution. You meet the perfect business partner at a coffee shop you've never been to before. Now, the skeptics will say this is just confirmation bias. We notice the hits and ignore the misses. And sure, that's part of it. But there's something deeper happening here, something that modern neuroscience is only beginning to understand. Here's the thing. Your brain is not a passive receiver of reality. It's an active predictor. Every single moment, your brain is running millions of calculations, making predictions about what's going to happen next based on your past experiences, your beliefs, your emotional state, and your focused attention. There's a concept in neuroscience called predictive processing. Essentially, your brain is constantly generating predictions about what you're going to experience next, and then it checks those predictions against incoming sensory data. When there's a match, you barely notice. But when there's a mismatch, when something unexpected happens, your brain sits up and pays attention. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Your brain doesn't just predict the future passively, it actively shapes what you perceive and how you act. If you're convinced the world is dangerous, your brain will filter reality to show you threats. If you're convinced opportunities are everywhere, guess what your brain starts finding? Opportunities. This isn't just positive thinking. This is your neural circuitry literally rewiring itself based on where you place your attention. Neuroscientists call this neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to form new neural pathways throughout your life. So when you decide you want that specific car, what's really happening? Your brain has now tagged that car as important. It's created a search filter. Suddenly, your reticular activating system, the part of your brain that determines what gets through to your conscious awareness, starts flagging every instance of that car. They were always there, you just weren't tuned to see them. But synchronicity sculpting goes beyond just noticing things. It's about actively creating the conditions for meaningful coincidences to occur. It's about becoming a conscious co-creator with reality itself. Think of it this way. The universe is like a vast ocean of possibility. Every potential outcome, Every possible path exists as a wave in that ocean. What you focus on, what you believe, what you take action toward, these things are like tuning forks. They resonate with certain frequencies and not others. And when you get your internal tuning fork vibrating at the right frequency, you start attracting the waves that match. This isn't metaphor. This is how your brain actually works. The question is, are you consciously choosing what frequency you're broadcasting, or are you just letting your past programming run the show? That's what we're going to explore today. How to take conscious control of your synchronicity. How to become a sculptor of your reality rather than just a passenger. And we're going to start with the most powerful tool you have, your intuition. Segment 2, the intuitive compass, your energetic GPS. Let's talk about intuition. You know that feeling, that gut instinct, that sudden knowing, that voice in the back of your mind that says, yes, this is right, or no, something's off here. For a long time, we've been taught to dismiss intuition as irrational. We live in a culture that prizes logic, data, evidence, and those things are important. But here's what we're learning. Intuition isn't the opposite of logic. It's logic running at a speed your conscious mind can't keep up with. Your subconscious mind processes about 11 million bits of information per second. Your conscious mind? About 40 bits per second. That means your subconscious is processing about 275,000 times more information than your conscious awareness. It's taking in body language, environmental cues, pattern matches from your entire life history, and running incredibly complex calculations, all beneath the surface of your awareness. When you get a gut feeling, that's your subconscious mind sending a message to your conscious mind, hey, I've run the numbers, and this is what we need to know. Recent neuroscientific research has shown that our gut, our actual digestive system, has about 100 million neurons. It's sometimes called the second brain, and there's a direct neural highway between your gut and your brain called the vagus nerve. This is why you literally feel emotions in your stomach, butterflies, nausea, that sinking feeling, that sense of expansion. This is interoception, your brain's ability to sense the internal state of your body. And people with stronger interoceptive awareness tend to make better decisions. They're more in tune with their intuition. So how do you strengthen this intuitive compass? How do you turn up the volume on these subtle signals? Exercise 1, the body scan practice. Here's a simple practice you can do right now or anytime you need to tune in. Close your eyes if you're in a safe place to do so. Take 3 deep breaths. Now, scan your body from the top of your head down to your toes. Notice any sensations, tension, warmth, coolness, tingling, heaviness, lightness. Don't judge them, just notice them. Now, think about a decision you're facing. Maybe it's something small, what to have for dinner. Maybe it's something big, whether to take a new job. Hold that question in your mind and notice what happens in your body. Does your chest expand or contract? Does your stomach relax or tighten? Does your breathing deepen or become shallow? Your body is giving you information. A sense of expansion, warmth, or relaxation usually indicates a yes, this is aligned. A sense of contraction, coolness, or tension usually indicates a no or not yet. Do this regularly. Make it a practice. The more you do it, the stronger your intuitive signal becomes. Exercise 2, following the breadcrumbs. Here's another powerful technique. Throughout your day, pay attention to what captures your attention. A book that falls off a shelf, a conversation you overhear, a random thought that pops into your head, an unexpected invitation. Instead of dismissing these as random, ask yourself, what if this is a clue? What if this is the universe pointing me towards something? Now, here's the key. Take one small action based on that nudge. If a book catches your eye, pick it up and read a page. If you overhear a conversation about a topic you've been curious about, do a quick search when you get home. If someone invites you to an event you wouldn't normally attend, say yes. This is how synchronicity starts to accelerate. You're not just waiting for coincidences. You're actively engaging with the subtle patterns around you. You're showing the universe, or more accurately, your subconscious mind, that you're paying attention. And when you pay attention, you get more signals. Exercise 3. Morning intention setting. Every morning, before you check your phone, before you jump into your day, take 2 minutes to set an intention. Not a goal, an intention. An energetic frequency you want to embody. It might sound like, today I'm open to unexpected opportunities, or today I trust my intuition completely, or today I'm a magnet for helpful connections. Say it out loud if you can. Feel it in your body. Visualize yourself moving through your day with this quality activated. You're literally priming your neural networks to look for evidence of this intention. Here's what I've discovered in my own life. The more I trust these intuitive nudges, the more they show up. It's like I'm training my subconscious to speak louder because it knows I'm actually listening. You'll start noticing what I call aha moments, sudden insights, unexpected clarity, pieces of a puzzle falling into place. These aren't random. They're the result of your subconscious mind doing its work and finally getting through to your conscious awareness. But intuition alone isn't enough. You can sense the path, but you still have to walk it. And that's where intentional action comes in. Segment 3. Intentional action. Building bridges to your desires. All right, let's talk about the gap between dreaming and doing, between wanting and having, between vision and reality. There's a huge industry built around visualization. Picture your dream life. See yourself in that house, driving that car, living that relationship. And visualization is powerful. We'll get to the neuroscience of that in a moment. But here's the problem. Visualization without action is just daydreaming. Synchronicity sculpting isn't about sitting on your couch, closing your eyes, and waiting for the universe to deliver. It's about becoming an active participant in your own manifestation. It's about building bridges between where you are and where you want to be. The key is understanding what I call inspired action versus forced action. Forced action comes from fear, scarcity, or should. It feels heavy. It's the job you take because you need the money, even though it makes you miserable. It's the relationship you stay in because you're afraid of being alone. It's the business strategy you implement because some guru said it's the only way. Forced action drains your energy, and when you're drained, you're not magnetic. You're not attracting opportunities, you're repelling them. Inspired action, on the other hand, comes from alignment. It feels like flow. It might still be challenging, actually it often is, but there's an underlying sense of rightness, of yes, this is my path. Here's what's happening neurologically. When you take inspired action, your brain releases dopamine, the motivation and reward chemical, and serotonin, the mood stabilizer and confidence booster. These neurochemicals create a positive feedback loop. The action feels good, so you want to do more, which creates momentum, which leads to results, which reinforces the behavior. But when you take forced action, your brain releases cortisol, the stress hormone. You might get stuff done through sheer willpower, but you're burning out your system. And chronic cortisol actually shrinks the hippocampus, the part of your brain responsible for learning and memory. You're literally making yourself less capable over time. So how do you identify inspired action? Technique 1. The resonance test. When you're considering an action, pause and check in with your body using the technique we discussed earlier. Does this action create expansion or contraction? Lightness or heaviness? Excitement, even if there's some nervousness mixed in, or dread? Inspired action often has a quality of, I can't not do this. There might be fear, yes, but there's something pulling you forward that's stronger than the fear. Technique 2. The effortless effort principle. This might sound paradoxical, but inspired action often feels effortless even when it requires effort. It's like you're swimming with the current rather than against it. You're in flow. Think about a time when you were working on something you were genuinely passionate about. Hours passed like minutes. You forgot to eat. You were completely absorbed. That's the quality we're looking for. Now, not every action is going to feel like that. Sometimes you just have to do the boring administrative tasks. But your major moves, your key decisions, your big investments of time and energy, those should have this quality of alignment.
Let me share a real-world case study. I know someone. Let's call her Sarah. Sarah was working in corporate finance. Good money, stable job, but she was dying inside. She had this dream of becoming a therapist, of actually helping people heal. But the practical voice in her head kept saying, "You can't afford to go back to school. You'll lose years of income. It's too risky." One day, she was on a lunch break and randomly walked into a bookstore she'd never been to before. A book literally fell off the shelf in front of her. One of those moments. It was about career transitions and following your calling. She bought it, read it that evening, and felt something click into place. That was the intuitive nudge. But here's where the magic happened. Instead of just feeling inspired and then going back to her routine, she took one small action. She researched therapist training programs. Just research. Low stakes. But that action led to another. She reached out to 3 therapists and asked if she could interview them about their careers. Those conversations led to an invitation to volunteer at a community mental health center on weekends. That experience confirmed her direction. It also introduced her to a mentor who told her about a scholarship program she qualified for. Within 6 months, she was enrolled in a graduate program with 80% of her tuition covered, something she didn't even know existed when she started. Within 2 years, she was building a thriving practice. Now, was this synchronicity? Absolutely. The book falling, the random conversations, the scholarship opportunity, these were all coincidences. But here's the key. Sarah didn't just notice these signs, she acted on them. Each small action built a bridge to the next opportunity. She was co-creating with reality. So here's your assignment. Identify one desire you have right now, something you want to manifest. Now ask yourself, what's one small action I could take in the next 48 hours that would move me in that direction? Not a huge leap, not a life-altering decision, just one small, inspired step. Maybe it's sending an email, making a phone call, researching something, signing up for a class, having a conversation. The size of the action doesn't matter. What matters is that you're building momentum. You're showing your subconscious mind and the field of possibility around you that you're serious. This is what I call neural rehearsal in real time. You're not just imagining your desired outcome, you're training your brain to take the actual steps that lead there. You're creating new neural pathways, and every time you take an aligned action, you're strengthening those pathways. But there's still a piece missing. We've talked about tuning your intuition and taking inspired action. Now we need to understand the bigger picture, the energetic mechanics of how this all works. Why does this stuff actually work? What's really happening beneath the surface?
Segment 4. The Synchronic Grid. Energetic Mechanics. All right, now we're going to explore the why behind synchronicity sculpting. Let's start with interconnectedness. The scientific principle that nothing exists in isolation. Everything affects everything else. In quantum physics, there's a phenomenon called entanglement. When 2 particles become entangled, they remain connected regardless of the distance between them. Change the state of one particle, and the other particle instantly reflects that change, even if it's on the other side of the universe. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance. Now, I'm not saying your thoughts are quantum entangled with your future job or your ideal partner. The scale is different, but the principle is similar. We exist in a field of interconnected information and energy. Your state affects the field. The field affects you. Think about it on a simpler level. Your mood is contagious. When you walk into a room with confidence and positive energy, people respond differently to you than when you walk in stressed and contracted. You're literally broadcasting information through your posture, your facial expressions, your tone of voice, your pheromones, and people are picking up on that information and adjusting their behavior accordingly. Now, scale that up. What if your entire energetic state, your beliefs, your emotions, your focus, your intentions, is broadcasting a signal that influences the probability of certain events occurring? This is where the concept of vibration comes in. And I know that word can sound new agey and vague, but there's a real phenomenon here. Everything in the universe is vibration. Matter is just energy vibrating at different frequencies. Your brain operates on electrical signals, neurons firing in patterns that create brainwaves. Alpha waves, beta waves, theta waves, delta waves. Different mental states create different wave patterns. When you're in a state of flow, of alignment, of what we might call high vibration, your brain is generating coherent wave patterns. There's harmony. Different regions of your brain are communicating effectively. You're creative, intuitive, connected. When you're in stress, fear, or what we might call low vibration, your brain waves become incoherent. Your prefrontal cortex, the executive function center, goes partially offline. You operate from your amygdala, the fear center. You're in survival mode. Here's the key insight. The state you're in determines what you notice, what opportunities you're open to, what actions you take, and how other people respond to you. Change your state, and you change your reality. And here's where it gets really interesting. The Institute of HeartMath has done fascinating research on the electromagnetic field of the heart. Your heart generates an electromagnetic field that extends several feet outside your body, and that field changes based on your emotional state. When you're in states of appreciation, gratitude, love, or coherence, your heart rhythm becomes ordered and harmonious. When you're in stress, frustration, or anxiety, it becomes chaotic and disordered. And here's the wild part. Other people can detect your heart field. Not consciously necessarily, but their nervous system picks it up. You've probably experienced this. You can feel someone's energy when they enter a room. That's not metaphor, that's electromagnetic reception. So when we talk about attracting opportunities, or people, or events, we're not talking about magic. We're talking about neurological filtering. Your brain notices what matches your focus and expectations. Behavioral changes. You take different actions based on your state and beliefs. Energetic broadcasting. Your emotional and physiological state sends signals that others respond to. Probabilistic influence. In a complex, interconnected system, small changes in initial conditions can lead to dramatically different outcomes over time. This is chaos theory, the butterfly effect. When you set a clear intention, align your emotional state with your desired outcome, tune your intuition to receive guidance, and take inspired action, you're not just hoping for synchronicity, you're creating the conditions for it. You're like a radio tower broadcasting a clear signal, and the opportunities, people, and events that match that frequency are drawn toward you, not by magic, but by the complex interplay of perception, action, and interconnection. Now, here's an important caveat. This doesn't mean you can control everything. Life is complex. There are factors outside your influence. Bad things happen to good people. This isn't about blame or toxic positivity, but within the range of what's possible in your life, you have far more creative power than you've been taught to believe. And the question is, are you going to use it consciously or unconsciously? Most people are running unconscious programs, beliefs they absorbed in childhood, fears they've never questioned, patterns they inherited from their family or culture. And those programs are creating their reality by default. Synchronicity sculpting is about waking up, becoming conscious, choosing deliberately. So, let's bring this all together with some practical tools you can implement immediately. These are what I call brain hacks for manifestation, specific techniques that work with your neurology to accelerate the process. Segment 5, Practical Brain Hacks for Manifestation. All right, we've covered a lot of ground. We've explored intuition, inspired action, and the energetic mechanics of synchronicity. Now, let's get tactical. I'm going to give you 3 powerful techniques you can start using today. Brain hack number 1, neural rehearsal. This is where visualization becomes practical. Neural rehearsal is a technique used by elite athletes, surgeons, and performers. And the reason it works is fascinating. When you vividly imagine performing an action, your motor cortex, the part of your brain responsible for movement, activates almost as strongly as if you were actually performing that action. Your brain is running the program. It's creating and strengthening the neural pathways associated with that behavior. Here's how to do it effectively. Every morning or evening, take 5 to 10 minutes to mentally rehearse your desired outcome. But here's the key. Don't just see it like you're watching a movie. Experience it from the first-person perspective. Let's say you want to nail a job interview. Don't just picture yourself in the interview. Actually imagine walking into the building. Feel the texture of the door handle. Notice the temperature of the room. See the interviewer's face. Hear their questions. Feel your body relaxed and confident as you answer. Notice the subtle cues that they're impressed. Feel the handshake at the end. Engage all your senses. The more vivid and embodied the rehearsal, the more powerfully you're programming your brain. And here's the advanced move. Rehearse not just the outcome, but the obstacles. Imagine something challenging coming up, and imagine yourself handling it with skill and grace. This builds psychological resilience. When challenges actually arise, and they will, your brain has already practiced the response. Do this consistently. Athletes who use mental rehearsal alongside physical practice improve faster than those who only practice physically. You're literally rewiring your brain for success.
Brain hack number 2, the 2-minute rule. This one is simple but devastatingly effective. It comes from behavioral psychology, and it's designed to bypass procrastination. Here's the rule. If an inspired action will take less than 2 minutes, do it immediately. Don't put it on a list. Don't schedule it for later. Do it now. Why does this work? Because your brain's reward system is activated by completion. Every time you finish something, even something tiny, your brain releases a hit of dopamine. That feels good. And that good feeling motivates you to take the next action. Procrastination, on the other hand, happens because the anticipated discomfort of starting a task outweighs the anticipated reward of completing it. But once you're actually doing the thing, it's usually not as bad as you imagined. The starting is the hard part. The 2-minute rule makes starting effortless. Send that email. Make that phone call. Sign up for that webinar. The action is so small that your resistance doesn't have time to kick in. And here's what happens. Often, once you start, you keep going. You meant to just write 2 sentences of that email, but suddenly you've written the whole thing. You meant to just make that 5-minute phone call, but it turned into a productive 20-minute conversation. You're using your brain's natural momentum rather than fighting against its resistance. Brain hack number 3, gratitude priming. This is the most powerful state shift tool I know, and the neuroscience behind it is solid. When you intentionally focus on gratitude, several things happen in your brain. Your amygdala, fear center, calms down. Your prefrontal cortex, executive function, comes online. Your brain releases dopamine and serotonin. Your heart rhythm becomes coherent. Your nervous system shifts from sympathetic stress to parasympathetic rest and digest. In other words, gratitude is one of the fastest ways to shift from a low vibration state to a high vibration state. And from that high vibration state, You're going to notice different opportunities, take different actions, and broadcast a different signal. Here's the practice. Every morning, before you get out of bed, think of 3 things you're genuinely grateful for. And this is important. Don't just list them mentally, actually feel the gratitude in your body. Let it warm your chest. Let a smile form on your face. It can be anything. The comfortable bed you're lying in, the fact that you woke up this morning, a person you love, a meal you enjoyed yesterday, a problem that resolved itself, a skill you have. The key is feeling it, not just thinking it. Emotion is what activates the neurochemical cascade. Do this consistently for 30 days, and I promise you'll notice a shift. Not because you're magically attracting better circumstances, although you might be, but because you're training your brain to focus on what's working rather than what's wrong. And what you focus on expands. These 3 practices, neural rehearsal, the 2-minute rule, and gratitude priming, form a powerful daily system. They take less than 20 minutes combined, but they're working with your neurology, not against it. They're helping you become the person who naturally attracts and creates the life you desire. So let's bring this all together. Synchronicity sculpting isn't about controlling every aspect of your life. It's about recognizing that you're not separate from reality. You're an active participant in it. Your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and actions are constantly shaping your experience. You have an intuitive compass. Use it. Your body is constantly sending you signals about what's aligned and what's not. Strengthen that connection through the practices we discussed. You have the power of inspired action. Use it. Don't just visualize. Build bridges through small, aligned steps that create momentum and open doors. The synchronicities you've experienced in your life, those moments when everything just seemed to fall into place, those weren't flukes. They were glimpses of what's possible when you're in alignment. And now you have a system for creating that alignment deliberately. Start small. Pick one practice from today's episode and commit to it for a week. Notice what shifts. Notice what shows up. Pay attention to the breadcrumbs. And when you feel that intuitive nudge, take the inspired action. You're not just manifesting desires. You're becoming the person who lives the life you've been dreaming about. And that's the real magic. Thanks for joining me today. If this resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Until next time, keep sculpting your synchronicities and subscribe to stay tuned.